Welcome back. You're listening to Cindy Laverty's show nationwide on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Thanks for joining me. I'm joined today by Rick Carson, and it is just, there's just some shows that I just really love, and this is one of them. So, Rick,
Yes.
we were, I think we finished up with the playing with options, didn't we?
Yep.
Okay. So one of my favorite parts in the book is the chapter where it's called "You Are Not Your Act," because I have to say, like, I could really relate to the Sister Mary Perfect and the Pleasant Person Act, although I'm trying not to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what that means when you're not your act.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to create a visual image for a minute. Picture a drawing of a heart.
Okay.
A proverbial heart symbol.
Okay.
That's your soul, spirit,
Yep, all that good
true
stuff.
love, all of that stuff. Just think of that. The essence of the natural you. It's been there since you popped out onto the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now picture around that heart a circle.
Yep.
That circle is all of your beliefs about who you are and about who you think you should be. You know, from the time that you popped out onto the planet, you have been bombarded with experiences. From those experiences, you formed, as I did, everybody listening to this show did, beliefs about themselves.
Right.
Beliefs about how lovable you are, how likable you are, how creative you are, whether you can draw or not, how good an athlete you are, how you stack up in relation to your peers. Well, based on those beliefs, now keep in mind, beliefs are just opinions that you've developed loyalty to.
Right.
And
Right.
many of them we don't even know we've got. So there's that heart of hearts surrounded by all those beliefs. Well, based on those beliefs, we form another layer. So picture another circle.
Uh-huh.
You've got a heart with a circle around it, and then a larger circle around that circle. That third circle, that outer circle, is your act, your advertising, your style of being, your personality, what the rest of us know as your personality.
Okay.
Now, there's nothing wrong with a good act. I mean, I help people get their acts together. But it's important to know the difference between who you really are and your act, because your act is inevitably, I don't care how good it is, it's going to get chipped away at some point.
Right.
And if you're too attached to it, when you're winning critics' acclaim, you know, you're going to feel great, but you're not always going to win critics' acclaim.
That's right.
Especially people like yourself, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners, people who are very successful. As your career grows, your audience expands.
Mm-hmm.
So the chances of having everybody, you know, swoon at your feet are pretty slim.
That's very true.
Yeah,
That's very true.
You've really hit right on it, Cindy, because in the purest sense, gremlin taming is a tool. If you picture that drawing I just described,
Yep.
the heart with two circles, gremlin taming is a tool for cleansing the channel between the soul and the persona. For really having them work absolutely beautifully together. You know, a lot of times, speaking of acts, people form relationships and get in very serious, committed relationships based on their acts, their advertising.
Right.
You know, and that's pretty deadly.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's always shocking when somebody's had their act that you've fallen in love with, and then the real person comes out after marriage.
And it's inevitable.
Yes, it is.
It's going to come out at some point.
Yeah, it is.
Well, when that happens, and it always happens in a relationship, always. I know that's a gross generalization. It's a generalization. It's not gross. It's true. But when that happens in a relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a romance, doesn't matter. When that happens, there is pervasive anxiety.
Yep.
And at that point, power and control struggles ensue, fights. And some people at that point split.
That's
Well,
right.
I don't want this. I want to look for the cheap high again.
Right.
So there's grave danger of a relationship falling apart at that point. But if people are willing to go beneath their acts and really, jump out from behind their acts and basically say, well, here I am, where are you?
Yeah.
And connect on that level, then they've got a shot at intimacy. And that's a beautiful thing.
That is just fantastic. And I don't think that we think about that because when people are dating or whatever, and I look at, teens and 20 somethings today who are dating and it's all about an act.
Really? Yeah, I'm sure at 20 something, God. I think about me at 20 something.
Me too.
What a disaster I was.
I wouldn't go back there for anything in the world.
No, I wouldn't either. My lovely wife, Letty, and I, we've been together, I guess we've been together about 35, 36 years. But
well, congratulations.
Thank you. But the first time I got married,
I
was 22, and to a really wonderful woman, really nice person. But I think back to, what did I know?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. That's
really,
right.
But there are a lot of old souls down here now in very young bodies.
Yep, there are. That's very true.
I just didn't listen to myself back then, and she didn't listen to herself. We were too young to be doing that.
Well, you can't always know, and I'm not sure. I somehow I think it's kind of sad that enlightenment comes to us, later on in life. But I guess that's just the way it is. All right, I got to take a quick break. You're listening to Cindy Laverty's show. I'll be right back with Rick Carson.